Hi friends, I'm Karen and this is the Family Food for Moms podcast. We're talking about inspiration for family cooking and dining. In this episode, we're going to talk more about family fun nights. Last time we talked about a whole lot of ideas to have together in your family. A lot of those were for large families. So today I'm going to talk a bit about how to have a family fun night when you have a smaller family, or even if it's just mom or dad and a child. The reason I'm talking about family fun nights is because I feel like there's such a big part of family closeness and togetherness, and a lot of them use food or are to do with food and include a way to eat that's different to normal. And that's lots of fun. So today we're going to talk about some more ideas for family fun nights and how to do them when you have a smaller family. I have a friend who has a boy of 8, such a special mom and amazing kid. And their dad owns a couple of restaurants, and so he's pretty much always out in the evenings. So it's very hard for them as a family to do anything like a family fun night. And I was thinking about how they could make it work. And I think it's actually a great way of spending time together. It's similar to if you have a big family and then mom or dad spends time with one of the children. So a special meal or a special outing with just a parent and one particular child. So these are very important to do too in big families, so that you get your one-on-one close time with each child. But just as important in a small family, or even in a family where it's one parent and one child, because somehow when you're focused on that time with the child, and even if you're together most of the time, during that special time, you focus on them, you talk about stuff that you have in common, you ask them specific questions, you kind of really work on the relationship and have good chats and a good time together. So in the same way, a family fun night can be something that a small family or a mom and child or a dad and child can do together. So it can just be something very easy that you both enjoy, like playing some board games or playing some kind of sports games, indoor or outdoors. Or it can be something like the Fool's Dinner, where you just do it for the two of you and you laugh lots and just have fun. You kind of modify it to just fit the two of you. You could do, for an older child, you could do a quiz game where the mom acts as the person asking the questions and puts the child as the contestant on the spot, and they have their rewards. Or the mom, for a younger child, could do something like the fun fair, where she has the different games arranged with prizes, and the child has the coins, and then she kind of runs the show while the child is the one at the fun fair or at the food fair doing the activities or eating the food. So mom or dad arranges the event and the child kind of participates. And you could even swap around if the child wants to be a stall holder or have a game that mom plays. So it works just as well with smaller families. The download that we have for you, the Family Fun Night download, has coins and scorecards and lots of signs and menu for the Fool's Dinner and a whole lot of fun things. So have a look at that. It's on familyfoodformoms.com/fun night. That's familyfoodformoms.com/fun night. So this first game I really love because it's great for doing in between courses at the table and helping everybody relax, be at the table longer, laugh, chat. And that is paper games, paper stories, or paper monsters, paper animals. There's lots of variations. So basically what you do is each person has a piece of paper and a pencil. And then mom instructs everybody. So for starters, say we're doing monsters. Everybody must then draw the top of the monster's head. And then they fold the paper down so there's a little part sticking out, and then they pass the paper to the person to their left. And then they mustn't peep at what the previous person drew. Then you're going to draw the rest of the monster's head. Then you fold it down so it's mostly covered with a little bit of your drawing sticking out at the bottom, and you pass the paper on to the left again. Then the next person will draw the monster's neck, leave a little bit sticking out, pass it on. The next person will draw the monster's body, pass it on, and lastly the legs and maybe the feet. You can be as creative as you want. And then we fold them up all the way, and then the last person to hold the papers will open it and laugh away, show everybody what their strange creations look like. And then you can pass them around and everyone can see what they are. You can do the same thing with animals. Like you can do the head, and that will be maybe the head of a giraffe, and then somebody else will draw the body of a crocodile, somebody else will draw the legs of a flamingo, and then the hooves of a cow. So then it'll be a very strange looking animal at the end. This is great for small children. Keep them focused at the table. The other kind, the story, it's the same concept, but then each person writes a part of the story. So mom can say, we're going to do the introduction. And the introduction can be where they are, who the characters are. And then the next thing could be something scary that happened or an exciting occurrence. And then later on, something goes wrong or what they did. You decide. And then at the end of the story, you would say, let's write the conclusion. So we try to have at least 4, maybe 5 or 6 parts of the story before reading it. And each part shouldn't be too long. And then when you unroll the page and you find the whole story, then each person reads their particular story, which will be all mixed up with the other stories. And that's very funny. Another fun thing to do at the table between courses is Mad Libs. It's easy to find them online, printable Mad Libs, especially for events like Thanksgiving. That makes it extra funny. But basically you download the page, which has a story with words left out. And then one person will ask another one, give me a verb or an action word, give me a noun or an object or a person or a famous person or a place. And they just fill in whatever words come to mind. And then when you read the story, it can be quite ridiculous and funny. This is also a great one to do in a small family, especially when there are 2 of you. Then one of you can ask and the other one can give the words, and then you can read the story. You could have a how to cook night where you choose the recipe in advance with whoever's going to be cooking it. It should be something that they're excited to try and learn to cook or bake. And then it's a fun way to set the time aside to do that together. And then you get to eat it at the end. Sometimes we like to do a looking at photos night, photos and videos from the past. So then we'll have a snacky meal, maybe finger foods, any kind that you guys like, sausages, sausage rolls, puff pastry tarts, anything that works with the fingers, crudités with dips. And then we sit around in the living room where the projector is, and then each person gets to request what they want to look at. So my second birthday party, or when I was 10 and we went on holiday, on vacation, something like that. So you get to see a whole lot of photos, memories, while you eat your snacky dinner. Then a formal evening is often quite fun. Everybody has to dress in really formal clothes and you eat really fancy food. So you can try and find takeout that is more fancy than usual. Sometimes just small things make it fancier. So for the first course, everybody has 1 or 2 ribs, spare ribs, or perhaps you have a fancy soup for the starter. So if you're up to cooking it at home, again, just smaller courses of anything really can be fun and can be a little bit more gourmet. Or if you have members of the family who like to cook gourmet food, then that works great. You can also take photos of yourselves in your fancy clothes and of your food that you're eating. Set the table in a beautiful formal way with fancy glasses and underplates. We have gold knives and forks, which we love to use. So similar to this one is a history night, which is great for homeschoolers and schoolers who enjoy history, where you choose a time period or you choose a particular part of history, and then everyone dresses up in clothes that relate to that historical event or time period. And then you try to research it and find ideas for the kind of food they would have eaten. Sometimes even you can do reclining instead of sitting at a table, or standing, depending on how they would have eaten at that event. A dessert night or an ice cream sundae night are often fun. The ice cream sundaes, you get to build your own using different flavors of ice cream, different toppings. And dessert nights, you would have a few different desserts that everybody can try. Or perhaps you play games involving desserts, like the chocolate game, where you have a dice and everybody gets a turn to throw the dice. Then when they get a 6, they quickly have to put on the scarf and the gloves and grab the knife and fork and then try to cut a piece of chocolate with the knife and fork and eat it. And they can carry on until the next person throws a 6, at which point they have to stop, take off the gloves and scarf, and let the next person have their chance. You could do a menu of different desserts and have people order what they'd like at a restaurant. Again, you can buy a few desserts for this and divide them up. You don't have to make everything. That makes it a bit more relaxing for mom. And of course, a simple restaurant at home night can be fun. Perhaps if you have older children, each of them could be responsible for one course and could have a couple of options. And then you could have menus and everybody could order. The younger children could be the waiters and waitresses. And then everybody gets to have what they'd like. Also, a concert night is lots of fun. If you imagine a fancy music concert, it doesn't have to be music though. Everybody could do whatever they're good at. So it could be poetry reading, dancing, piano, other musical instruments that they play for you, or any skill that they want to showcase. Some kids love doing magic tricks. So then you could do this after dinner, or you could incorporate dinner. If it has a few courses, then you could do one thing in between each course. It doesn't even have to be a fancy meal. You could do this with takeout pizza and make the focus on enjoying the concert, make the children feel special, lots of clapping, and maybe some awards or certificates afterwards. This works great, especially at the end of a year when there's things that children want to show. We personally have what we call graduations for each child, for each grade. So they'll get to show all the schoolwork they've done that year. They'll get to show things they made or researched or lap books that they created and talk about all the things that they remembered and that they enjoyed. And then along with this, we'll have the concert or the showcasing of skills. It's lovely to have an event based on a different country, or perhaps an 80s theme, a 60s theme, a 20s theme. But the country ones are our favorite. If you know of my other business, Case of Adventure, we create books and novels for different countries. So we love to have a good country evening. So say we choose Canada as our country, we'll make Canadian flags, both a big one for the table and small ones to go into the food. And then we'll create Canadian food. We'll play any games that we know are Canadian. We'll perhaps watch a video of what it's like in Canada. And sometimes even when the children were smaller, we would create an airplane with all the trimmings and then pretend that we're flying to Canada. Sometimes you can find videos of flights landing in Canada, describing what you see out the windows. And then once you're there, you can visit the landmarks. So that's lots of fun. Have you heard of the game Fishbowl? It's crazy. First, everybody writes words and puts them in a hat. You have pieces of paper and everyone writes random things like hamburger, jump rope, or swim, even King Charles, verbs or nouns that can be acted out. The amount of words depends on how long you want the game to go on for. So we have 2 teams and one team would go at a time. The team would choose a member to describe the word that they've picked from the hat. And then the next one and the next one. So there's a timer, and in 30 seconds they describe as many words as they can. Then the other team would have their turn doing the same thing, rotating the players. So everyone gets a turn, taking the words out of the hat until there's none left. So then that's the first round. Then after that, when everyone's a little bit more familiar with the words in the hat, then you have a second round. You put all the words back in the hat, and now one team at a time again, but you only get to say one word as a prompt. You can't say the word itself, but you can say any other one word to describe it. So maybe you'd say fast food if the word was hamburger. Well, that's 2 words, fast food, but that's allowed. In the third round of fishbowl, the word has to be acted out with no noise at all. By now, people know the words pretty well, and it's surprising how fast you can get what they are. Then the final round, the fourth round, is quite fun. You put a sheet over the person and you have to act out the word with the sheet over you. It's kind of challenging, but lots of fun. Most of these, except the last one, are to do with food and happen around the meal. But there's so many other options and ideas of family fun nights that don't involve food or that are in a totally different place, like camping in the woods or going on a picnic. But I've tried to focus on ones at home because those are the harder ones to think of. So if you have any ideas, please do leave me a comment on the post for this podcast, which is on familyfoodformoms.com. I'd love to hear what you guys do. If you'd like to be reminded of any of these games, just look at the transcript or on familyfoodformoms.com/episode-8. Also remember the download. It's to go along with the fun fair, family fun night, and the fool's dinner. They're printables that have tokens for the food fair and also the fun fair. Then there are cards for scoring. There are just various signs to put up, everything that makes that night look cool and extra fun. And the same for the fool's dinner. There's a cardboard dice that you can make, and the menu with preset places to write what people are going to choose from, like what implement they're going to end up eating with. So you can find those on familyfoodformoms.com/fun night. So that's familyfoodformoms.com/fun night as one word. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.